Rain, we sing it out through joy and pain. Every tackle, every win, we're right back in it once again. Up the sweat, we wear and bleed red and white. Up the sweat, every goal feels like alright.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. And welcome to Fools Rush In as we look back on a weekend where the men's team won their first home game of the season. Unfortunately, the women's team didn't quite get the same outcome in their game away in Portsmouth. We have all your usual things to look forward to. We have intro questions, we have Swindon Town chat, we have women's football roundup, and almost certainly chaos and carnage when I look at the panel that has been assembled for tonight. We are currently live on X, on YouTube, and I'm hoping on Facebook. I don't know how long we'll be on Facebook. We have had issues with Facebook. They basically, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, they suspended our account but wouldn't tell me why. I don't know what we've done to upset Meta, but they weren't happy with us, and I only got it reinstalled about an hour ago. So hopefully it will last. We'll soon find out. But live chat is available. So wherever you're watching, thank you very much for doing so. Please do get involved. Like our good friend Mike did, well over an hour before we even went live. Yes, I don't know if it's visible for those on YouTube, but I will bring it up on the screen. Mike was leaving comments during the official Supporters Club show, not realising he was commenting on the wrong stream. So here's his comment that he wanted to share with the OSC. Then he realised and then decided can't be bothered to rewrite that. So he just left it on us and carried on watching the show. And here he is himself. Evening, Mike. I'll try commenting in the correct chat. Indeed, sir. Indeed. As I say, thank you very much for tuning in. As always, this Monday evening, I hope that we are entertaining enough that you want to get involved. Get your comments up on the screen. Now, one fool who is not with us tonight and hasn't been for a little while, through one reason or another, is Kieran. But he has got a hold of me today, disappointed that he can't partake in tonight's show. And he has asked to break with tradition and has submitted the intro questions himself. Why, you ask? Because his boy crush, his man crush, Aaron Drinan, celebrated 100 appearances for Swindon Town against Cheltenham. So he has submitted 2 intro questions for tonight's panel based on that fact. Evening UK Robbins, up the Swindon. Well, good evening to you too. Up the Swin indeed. So I will let, sorry, let me try that again. I will let you know Kieran's intro questions as soon as we've said hello and good evening to tonight's panel. Starting with the man who has just in very impressive fashion, absolutely smashed his dinner so that he wasn't eating live on screen. Evening, Woody.
Evening. I'm fucking regretting it now, though. I'll tell you what.
I bet you are. I bet that heartburn and indigestion is a fucking killer now.
Yeah, Jesus.
You inhaled it like a Henry Hoover, sir.
Oh, I did. I wasn't even that hungry either. I was just like, oh, yeah, but by the time we've had the post show and all of that, it's going to be way too late to eat. So, yeah, it was, yeah, but oh, what a day. I'm glad to have some. Well, I can't even vent because we won. So, but I'm sure there's something we'll find. I did notice, though, Fifey, that of all the changes, of all the introductions and all of the other stuff we've had, our original stream is coming photo is still there. It is still standing strong.
It works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's still there. Since 1879.
Was that not your work?
It was right back in the day when we first went live with StreamYard. Yeah. So anyway, how are you? It feels like time.
Well, yeah. You say that you only missed one episode that I can remember.
Was I not on Friday? No, I wasn't.
You weren't on Friday. No, you asked for a night off. I'm okay. I'm happy to throw this out early. I'm okay. In comical and somewhat ironic fashion. The reason I specify that I'm okay is because on Saturday, as I've told you before, like in recent weeks, I've been trying to better myself. So I've been back out in the gym. I've started the couch to 5K. I'm just trying to, lose a bit of weight, get a bit fitter, that kind of thing. I'm not getting any younger. And in, like I say, comical and slightly ironic fashion, I met some friends for a run on Saturday before going to my martial arts class. And during the warm-up of my martial arts class, I pulled my hamstring. In textbook Swindon style.
You were the center of the jokes on before the match on Saturday when we all found out that you had pulled your hamstring and in true Ian Holloway's training methodology fashion. So well done.
I fully accepted being the butt of all the jokes. I appreciated the amount of jokes. I didn't expect the sympathy. To be fair to him, Mark sent me a text just saying, after all the jokes had sort of calmed down for a bit, he said, in all seriousness, are you okay? Wasn't called me 10 minutes before kickoff, just called me a shambles and then disappeared.
It's actually quite weird, actually, because of even when I was playing and all my years, I don't think I've ever pulled my hamstring. So I think this is the year. This will be the year I'll be putting a goal away or something like that. And because I don't do any exercise anymore. Well,
you wait for your stag do, mate. We'll be pulling hamstrings left, right, and centre. I should say, of course, the Premier League has returned, and as is common practice, the game is live on telly. Apologies for anyone wanting to avoid any spoilers, but Cole Palmer has just made it 3-1 to Chelsea. And just like Morgan Rogers, he's given it the old celebration. Who is going to keep it? It's going to be a real power struggle for that celebration, isn't it? You can tell. How was your weekend, Woody?
Swindon was great. So the rest of it was a bit of a write-off, I think.
Yeah, we're going to discuss that later. Very, very open and honest reflection you gave, I thought, on social media, which I appreciate. I always like when you're actively involved in coaching stroke managing, because you are very open and honest with your reflections on games, win, lose or draw. Yeah,
there's no point hiding around, is there, making excuses. You just get true reflections from me.
Are you doing a collab with the Kitmen soon? I would assume not, given that anyone remotely associated with Swindon Town FC is never allowed to talk to us. So you may, at the absolute best, you may see Ben pop up in the background of a video somewhere. That's probably about as good as it's going to get. Speaking of which, should we say hello and good evening to Ben?
Hello, gents. You all right?
You're looking very dapper in the white shirt, sir.
Thank you very much. Very much, Vibey. Good to be on after a Swin win. How rare is that? Lovely.
Indeed. It seems like a while since we spoke about one of those. I have to say, and I wasn't planning to do this, but I do like a collar on a football shirt, I feel. I do like a collar.
Yeah, no, I always have. Always have. I don't know why they disappeared. Bring them back. The old Cantonars, collars and shirts.
Yeah, there are a lot better.
A lot better. Always remember John Moncur had a little flick up, run about like that. Always good. Loved it. Get the collars back. Amen.
How was your weekend, sir?
Been all right. Yeah, no, it's been good. Well, no, actually, no, it's not been all right. It's been brilliant. Just got back from Torquay, a few days away with the missus, Torquay, then picked Freddie up. It's his birthday on Tuesday, so he had a pre-birthday on Saturday, nice. Where he got his birthday gifts and everything, got all that sorted. Then he had hence the balloons behind. And then he got to watch the Swin win. Got to watch the Swin win next to Hayley, who is a Cheltenham fan, which made it a little bit better. And then we, got home, had some nice scram, and Sunday was pretty cool as well.
Lovely.
And it's been all right actually. I can't complain. As weekends go, it's been Carlsbergy.
Excellent. And as good as this trifecta of FRI legends is, there's always room for one more. A man who has been racking up the appearances in 2026 and is never short of something to say. He's been in the link for about half an hour just chatting to me while waiting for everyone else to turn up. Evening, Mark.
Good evening, Fifey. How are we doing, mate?
Very, very well. Thank you, sir. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Good to be on the show with 3 points behind us from the weekend. So hopefully be nice and positive tonight.
Indeed. And how was your weekend?
Quite low key, to be honest. Mainly consisted of usual household chores, dog walks, ferrying the kids around to do stuff, parties and things. So we're getting towards the back end of the summer holidays now. So after having been away, money's a bit tight. Got to find the free things to do.
Absolutely. In fact, you say that half the schools in our area went back as of today. So there we go. You noticed the traffic on the commute to work. Anyway, that's a different story. We've had a message in on X from Matt, Swindon Matt 35, who said, "Does Ben's hearing aid work? Shouted him coming out of the cricket pitch car park." No, but you have to be next to Ben.
That was him.
Oh, it was him.
Right. Okay. So I walked past the it's the right. My left ear can't hit shit, and I walked past, and then I thought I heard someone, and then he was, "Did someone shout your name?" I looked behind me and around me. I didn't. It was Matt. Matt, I'm really sorry. My humblest apologies. I am completely deaf. And,
to be fair, Matt, what I will say is Ben is fundamentally shit at this kind of celebrity status that he's got himself over the years, because as I've told many times, the first time we could have interacted was at Burton Away many years ago. I recognised Ben with his flat cap. I went, "Hi, Ben," and he just completely blanked me. Little did he know we would end up doing this together for years sometime later. Just on that, by the way, game not over yet. Fulham have pulled one back. It is 2-3. The Premier League is fucking excited this year. Goals everywhere, unless you're a Villa or Spurs or Man United fan, of course. In which case, hashtag relegation is on the cards. What a game. Right, as I said, Kieran has submitted 2 intro questions for you today, boys. In celebration of Drinnan's 100 appearances, which we'll touch on a little bit later as well. So his first question, and Woody, I'm going to start with you. As Aaron Drinnan has made 100 appearances, what he would like to know is, if you had to pick one person on Fools to make 100 appearances alongside you on the pod, who would you choose? And who would you absolutely not survive 100 appearances with? Now, this is good because we've got 3 people here who have definitely made 100 appearances, 1 who must be close, and 2 of us who generally hit 100 appearances every year anyway. So Woody, who would you definitely do 100 appearances with, and who would you not survive 100 appearances with?
So I feel like I'm not allowed to say you, really, isn't it? That's a bit of a cheat, isn't it? If I say
I'm
you.
a cop-out, yeah. I don't.
Yeah, you're a bit of a cop-out. Who could I do 100 appearances? I'll tell you what, I think, and I'm not just saying this because he's on, I could do 100 with Mark, because we could actually spin off into our own sideshow about talking about the tactics behind all the terrible decisions that are made during the game. So we'd have our own little sideshow at the same time as well, I think. So probably Mark, because we'd get a good balanced conversation. Who would? I'll tell you what. There must be a reason he's only on a couple of times. I don't think I could last 100 appearances with Gary, because I don't think I'll get old enough. No. In all seriousness, who? Oh, that's quite a hard one. I also don't want anybody to get offended.
No, we don't take offence. You know this.
No. Who we got? I'm going to say Garv, because he's an Arsenal fan. That's
nice.
Easy
there we go.
For me.
Ben, let's go to you. Matt has replied saying all forgiven. So now that you've been all forgiven by Matt, who could you do 100 appearances with, and who would you struggle to do 100 appearances with?
I genuinely enjoy having Fifey, Ben versus Fifey. It gives me frustration and joy at the same time.
The immense joy.
Two people who support the same club have complete opposing views on players, tactics, seasonal
philosophy,
differences, everything. Pretty much, we are yin yang, black and white, and the only thing we have in common is we're opinionated and we are fucking stubborn on that opinion. So that, I love that. It's great. So long maybe that be the case.
Yeah,
Viva la Revolution, up the swim. Who I wouldn't probably would be your man Kieran, because he always comes on. Even when we do, anytime we see Kieran, we've got game shows. That's game shows or former town players. That's the only time we see him. And then when he does see him, he always seems to have it in for me. Always. He's always on the wind up. And I know that's not personal, because we do love each other. He's a lovely man. But yeah, he does always seem to tie me in nuts. And the Fabian Robert thing, I think I'll take that to my grave. Yeah, I'll take that to my grave.
Robert,
and that's
by the way,
so.
I'm not guaranteeing anything, but Fabian Robert did accept my connection request on LinkedIn the other day. So a little DM has gone in to see. I'd love to show him the clip. If nothing else, I'd just love to show him the clip. Mike says, I think I'd do 100 episodes with Ben in the hope that some optimism would rub off on me. I couldn't manage 100 with Craig because I'm already quite cynical enough about Swindon Town, thanks. Speaking of cynical, Mark, who could you and couldn't you do 100?
Well, to be fair, if I sat on the fence, I could probably do 100 shows with any of you, to be perfectly honest.
But if you sat on the fence, you wouldn't be
Craig,
being authentic.
No, this is very true. I would pick Woody over Craig this evening, just purely because Craig and I have a very similar sense of humour, and whereas Woody would argue points with me, so I think it would be more entertaining in that regard. In terms of who I couldn't work with, I'm gonna have to say Gary, because I don't think I'd be alive long enough to make 100 appearances with him. Bless him.
You'd be 100, wouldn't you? It's one show, yeah. It's one show.
Well, exactly. I don't think I'm going to make 100, mate. So,
what's coming first? A letter from the king, or Gary getting to 100 appearances?
That is one of those conundrums, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things we'll never know, because none of us are going to get the letter, and he's never going to get to 100.
Bless Gary.
The second
Love you,
one,
Gary.
I'm very, very intrigued as to how you're all going to answer his second one. So his second question says, Aaron has now made 100 appearances for Swindon. What's the one thing you've done 100 times that you're most ashamed of?
We've gone past the watershed, haven't we?
I'm going to take my mind out right away. I'm sorry.
Go on, Ben, you were first then.
Oh, fuck off. No. 100 times that I'm most ashamed of. Right. Mind out the gut.
You don't have to get your mind
just
out
do
the
me
gut.
first. uh, continually putting my faith into this fucking team.
Nice.
My
Good save.
faith, only
Good save.
to be let down constantly to the point. Like every point of the season, I'm optimist, and at some point, and I will say at some point this season, my faith will go, and I will be utterly distraught, and I'll go completely the other way, at least for a couple of weeks. And it happens at least once every season where I hit rock bottom.
Yep.
And I really do hit rock bottom. I go like, my mental health cannot take it anymore. And I do it to myself every season, and I'm doing it to myself right now. This team does me in, and I'm going to do it again next year. I know. So, yeah, that.
We should really take a sweep on at what point in the season the Ben crash out happens. That would be fantastic entertainment. Mark, something you've done 100 times that you're ashamed of.
No, it's a fairly easy and innocuous one, to be honest. But I used to be a 20-a-day smoker for the best part of 18 years or so. So yeah, looking back now, yeah, ashamed of that. Really, wish I'd never smoked. And that is a genuinely honest answer.
Nice, I like that. Authentic, as I was saying earlier. Woody?
Keep saying the diet's going to start on Monday. Or I'm going to behave myself next week and then realise that I've probably put on weight, actually, rather than losing it. Yeah, genuinely, that is probably my answer as well. The amount of times I go, I'll just get a packet of Haribo. Don't worry, on Monday, this will be fruit. This won't be Haribo. And we're not lying. On the Monday, it will be fruit, but followed by Haribo.
It'll be the foam bananas.
Yeah.
Well, no, you can get the new fruity fantastics. The cherries are amazing.
Yes.
Honestly, they're fruit. That's all right.
He's definitely having the giant straws making out of that counts.
I used to really like them. I've gone off them. I am more of a Tankfastics man.
Yeah, well, it also does depend though, because obviously you get the ones in the shops and you get them in the cinema that like been sneezed on by small children. But if you ever get like the brand new ones, like the proper ones in a jar, the fresh one, so good before they've been diseased. They're good. You know what I mean, though, don't you?
The proper ones for 20 minutes. This has been. Let's jump into why we're here then. Swindon Town's first home game of the season against the local rivals from up the road ended up with a 2-1 victory that prompted Ian Holloway to say that things went to plan. Game plans that were deployed that we didn't use in pre-season so that people didn't know we had them in the locker went exactly how he wanted. Although admittedly, we probably didn't deserve to win and a draw would have been a fair result. So before we get into the specifics of the game, Mark, let me come to you first. Is Holloway right? Was draw probably a fair result?
Probably, in the grand scheme of things. If you look to the balance of play of the match, you'd think that Cheltenham were probably more creative than Swindon overall. But to be honest with you, key players in key roles, particularly Billy Kirkman out on the left, nullified their major threats. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, the only stat that matters is a score. We won 2-1, 3 points in the bag. And I'm with Holloway because I'm thinking his mindset is more on the lines of winning football versus good football. And there is a distinction there. Yep. Last season, we played some really good football and we didn't get the results. This season, Northampton, we weren't great. We got a result. Cheltenham, we were better because we actually created some chances. We got the win, but we weren't the best team on the pitch. I wouldn't have said overall. But 4 points from 6 argues that we're hopefully starting to turn that corner, and perhaps we'll play winning football as opposed to good football this season. And to be honest, if we're winning and up in the top 3, fans won't care how good the football is.
No, completely agree. Woody, you were in attendance at the game. I also saw your interview on with Alfie as well. Always good to see how many of the Fools boys get involved with that each match day. What's your overall take? Do you agree with Holloway? Would a draw have been fair, or do you think no, Swindon did enough to win?
Well, obviously Mark, Mark has mentioned it as well, and I was listening to Low Strangers, and I must have been watching a totally different game because I thought until the last 15 minutes, Cheltenham were poor. I thought they gave the ball away a lot. I thought they gave the ball away more than Northampton did, to be fair. So yeah, they had more shots than us, I think, um, of which a few of those
Of
were.
which you debated.
Yeah, well, their number 9 must have had about 7 of them because I swear every time he got near the goal, that you can guarantee the ball was going to go 50 foot in the air. But yeah, it's
Dreadful.
yeah. I mean, maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe it's from the being there and seeing Northampton and just seeing what I thought was a chalk and cheese performance. There, I thought we were a lot. I thought we were a lot better against Cheltenham than we were against Northampton. I felt that Northampton we were lucky. For me, Northampton we were lucky to draw the game because I thought whilst Northampton weren't anything special either, I didn't think that we just offered nothing going forward, and that's just my bias leaning on how I think football should be played. I think you should be trying to
Yep.
score goals, not try to not try to just keep them out.
Fair.
But yeah, it's yeah. So and then obviously Cheltenham did well. They got the paces raising a little bit, didn't they? They got the pacemakers going because they kind of just did give us a bit of a surge towards the end. But I mean, I'm quite happily to be proven wrong, but I don't remember any key moments except for Kirkman's a couple of key challenges, but I don't really seem to recall before that 15 minutes going, oh shit, Cheltenham are going to score here in a minute or anything along those lines. But maybe it's because
Fair.
I had quite renewed faith from how well we did defensively against Northampton. And I was still caught off by surprise at how well Tafazoli played as well, to be fair. So, but yeah, no. But overall, I thought a professional performance given all of the injuries we've got at the moment. And as Mark said, what mattered was the win. If you can win and get a half decent performance, then I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah. Ben, Woody's just described it as chalk and cheese from Northampton. What was your overall takeaway from it?
Well, I think it was a lot better. I think it still was disjointed up front. I think Cheltenham were quite good. You know that drawing of a horse where the front of the horse is perfect and the back of the horse looks like a load of shit that a child did. That was Cheltenham. I think some of their attacking talents like Evans and players they had, the creativity was actually pretty impressive. It's probably the best I've seen Cheltenham. But their back line was horrific. You know, a full strength Swindon would have scored a lot more than the two. You can't have Cundy and Sweeney at the back. Play one of them, but not both. They such a high press with Cheltenham. We got high on so many times, and they had like the turning circle of an oil tanker, both of them, which made them quite easy to get at. So a good team, a team that wasn't relying on like their bare bones for forwards, would have done a lot better. And the goals they conceded, they say, did Swindon deserve to win? Well, Cheltenham didn't deserve to win for the 2 goals they conceded. If we were looking at it from a Swindon point of view, they were both horrific. Letting Drennan take aim and fire when he's the League 2 Player of the Year, and letting a simple throw in, a simple header, and Ollie Clark be able to walk into the 6-yard box and tap in completely unmarked. You don't deserve to win if you defend like that. So, yeah, Cheltenham going forward looked great. Defending looked dreadful. Swindon defending was really good. That's the best I've seen us. Going forward was average. We weren't that good going forward. Didn't need to be.
On some of the specifics in the game then, and Woody, I'm going to come to you first. I don't know your perspective. We haven't spoken about this specifically. Matty Virtue got booked early doors, 4 minutes in. And I was listening to the OSC reaction show earlier this evening, and a lot of their panel were in agreement that on another day that could have been a red. What was your take on it?
I have to admit, I thought it was very. I just need to make sure I don't fall off my chair. I actually thought it was very good refereeing, because I think the thing is you're looking at. I think the referees looked at the momentum that the players kind of kicked the ball away before Virtue's gone to ground anyway. After Virtue's gone to ground anyway. It just looked, I think because Virtue's such a big tank, it looked a lot worse than it was. So yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised. It wouldn't have surprised me if it was a red. But I do like it when a referee does use a bit of common sense early in the game, because he's booked him and he's gone, right, that he knows he's on a warning now. He knows he isn't going to put in another dangerous challenge because he's now on a booking. So yeah, I was on another day. You kind of look 10 years ago, you're getting angry at the ref for booking somebody so early. But in the modern day of the way the game is now, to be fair, we probably won't talk about it, but I actually thought the ref had a very good game. I thought, yeah, there were some key moments there. The booking for the dive as well, which I don't know if anybody's seen that snap that Cheltenham fan has shared, and he said it was a blatant pen, but actually it's more obvious that it was a dive from the thing. But yeah, I thought the ref had a really solid game in my opinion. I think there were moments when they went down injured in the bottom corner and he wasn't really taking any, kind of letting them run with it, so to speak. He was quite on top of the goalies with the balls in their hand and things like that. So yeah, it was. But yeah, I would have complained because I'm a Swindon fan if it was a red card. But I think I think a yellow was actually a very sensible decision, to be honest, because I don't think there was a huge intent. I think if the other lad, had it been the ball a little bit further away, the other lad would have slid as well, and we wouldn't have been saying anything about it. So, but yeah, so I think booking was a fair and a good decision.
Well, as Woody's raised the point of the performance from the referee, let's talk about another couple of notable performances. Mark, you've spoken about him already. But let's take a moment to appreciate one of Scout Woody's unappreciated gems. If Glatzel's top of his good boy list, then following very closely behind is Billy Kirkman. He's been saying that there's a player there since he signed, pretty much. I shared in the WhatsApp chat the Opta Joe figure that was posted, where it said Swindon Town's Billy Kirkman has recorded 10 interceptions and 16 tackles across the opening 2 match days of this EFL season. Both of those are the highest tallies of any player. Is Kirkman starting to find his place, Mark?
I think he's showing that he deserves that place. It's a key difference. I mean, yes, it is only a couple of games, and we saw glimpses of what he was capable of. And the reason why we've signed him from one of the farmers' leagues in Wales. I mean, with all due respect, there's a huge difference between the Welsh Prem and League Two football. So I'm really pleased. I know it's been a while since we've had a really decent left back of our own. And his performance against one of arguably the better right-sided attackers in the league this year. We'll leave Salford as a test for another day, but he was just superb. People made comments after the game about the mistake that led to Broom's equaliser. Well, to be honest, it was that was a fantastic goal, by the way. He managed to catch on the turn. He managed to catch Ripley out of position. They're still League Two footballers at the end of the day. If they were absolutely perfect, they wouldn't be in this division. But for 99% of the match, he was immaculate. Absolutely immaculate. Everything that he did was superb. And I don't really want to start talking about performances of other players if we're just going to focus on Kirkman for now. But yeah, I'm hoping it's a really good and big season for him, because the opportunity is there for him, and he's proving that he's worthy of the shirt right now.
Would you be remiss of me not to let you have a little say on this one, like I do when we talk about Glatzel?
Well, I think for me as well is that Kirkman is kind of fallen into the mold of a bit of an Iandolo type thing, where sometimes each season he'll find a very stable position where he's effective, and I think what helps is some of the players that he ended up with around him. So, and what I mean is the kind of knock-on effect. I mean, we're no doubt going to talk about this fella later, but obviously Munda came in, and with the way that he can drop in meant that Kirkman had a bit more cover in the top form of Tafazoli on the side of him, whereas Kirkman's questions have always kind of been around that defensive attribute if he needs to come inside. That's why he doesn't work in a free, in my opinion. But I think with Munda doing the jobs that he was doing and dropping in and covering out, that meant that Kirkman's backup was Tafazoli. And I just think that with that kind of knock-on effect of the players around him, it took the pressure off him a little bit. And but maybe at the same time, obviously, I think Rich mentioned before how at Chippenham, the Chippenham game, when Gav Gunning just absolutely screamed over at Kirkman and said, if you don't buck your ideas up, I've got youngsters who are going to come on in your place. That was directed at Kirkman. So maybe he does need a bit of tough loving here and there. But I just think I think he's a solid, if you rated his attributes, he's kind of a solid, 6 to 7 out of 10 on everything. Rather than having a player that's 10 for defending but does fuck all going forward, and then or the other way around. He's a good solid.
Very much 7. How you used to describe Rob Hunt.
Yeah. In fact, Rob Hunt's probably a better example than Iandolo, to be fair. I think I like Kirkman. I'm pleased that he's got that thing. And I think the other thing is he got inadvertently stitched up last year because immediately everybody thought he's got to fill Munro's shoes. And he just, and although to be fair, Munro did do some questionable things defensively as well, but he wasn't, he was a player from a higher level at the end of the day. So, I think Kirkman now has had that almost a season where Munro's not been around, so he hasn't got those boots to fill anymore as well. So I think we do need cover there because if Kirkman gets injured, we're very shallow behind if I remember rightly. I'd be more than happy with him, like a Rob Hunt. And at the end of the day, he's part of a back four that has stabled in that position. Between him, Negru, and Clark. That three of that back four haven't changed, and they've conceded 1 goal in the first 2 games. Yeah. We wouldn't have been saying that last season. We're talking 1 goal, at least 1 goal a game last season. Mm-hmm. So
no, definitely. Ben, the other player who has been getting plaudits from all corners of the Swindon sphere is the aforementioned Anthony Munda. Again, I've got some stats here courtesy of Swindon Extra. 1 assist. 83% pass accuracy, 9 defensive contributions, including 5 tackles, 2 clearances, 2 interceptions, 6 recoveries, and also 6 out of 9 ground duels won. Not a bad EFL debut by anyone's standards.
No, I think he grew into the game as well. He sort of started a little bit tentatively, but then after a couple of challenges, you see his confidence growing. I think for a young lad, 19 years old, making his EFL debut, that's outstanding. Obviously, he got the assist at the tackle. He commands the back line. He's very cool and calm under the pressure. He can draw players in from the press and play around them a little bit. He's strong. He's intelligent. He is a little bit beyond his league. You can see him as a little bit like a Makaleli type player. And it's day one. This could just be a flash in the pan. Really, that's you've got to hold the strings a little bit, but it was a really impressive debut. If he carries on in that vein, then Kilkenny's got a job to get his place back. But isn't it great that we could possibly have 2 great players competing in that position around Christmas time? If he carries on, but that's how impressive his debut was. He might go on and come in a Batchman and be a great first game and then just disappear off the face of the earth. Maybe it's 1 game and the lad's 19. So, I'm going to put that caveat aside before I do a Benism. But, it was really impressive. And he did all the key things and was a huge part of the win.
Well, Mark, Ben's shown incredible growth in his own character there by putting the caveat in because he did say, to quote, that even just after 1 game that he showed Makaleli signs and that Kilkenny may struggle should he continue to get back in the side. We're not ones for being hyperbolic ever, obviously, but I love Ben's passion and enthusiasm for that. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mark, to Ben's sensationalised review of the debut?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's very easy when you have a player making their debut for them to almost be anonymous compared to the rest of the team. Within the first 5 minutes or so, I think there were maybe two or three key moments that Munda was involved with, and I thought, hang on a minute, my focus and attention is on this player. He's clearly got something. He's making you want to watch him. What I particularly liked about his play, and I'm not going to, overhype the fact that he's had a really good debut. The ball-winning capabilities, like I say, the winning of those ground duels. I can't remember the last time I saw a Swindon midfielder win as many balls or challenge for as many balls in that area to do the job that Holloway clearly wants them to do: win the ball, get it forward. I mean, obviously the Drinnan's goal, which was exceptional, by the way, as well. What a finish from distance! But that was down to two ground duels won by Munda and the release of that ball. So an assist on his debut, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I just hope he continues in the same vein. Let's be honest, the Cheltenham midfield were probably not their most experienced players in there from recollection. It'll be interesting when we come up against a more wily, physical midfield, and there are a few sides in the division that will have that this year, to see how he copes. But yeah, all the confidence. And where I will disagree with you, Ben, is I think you could play Munda and Kilkenny in the same team. Think about it. You could drop to a back three with those two as a double pivot in front and allow 4 attacking players aside of a striker. So that would work really well. Gives us an option.
Woody, wider picture, there was a lot of frustration from Holloway after Northampton about the lack of mobility, the lack of engine, the lack of everything you want in a midfield. When you said earlier chalk and cheese, is the midfield the epitome of where it was chalk and cheese?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Mark got it. Is a good observation as well. That Cheltenham might not have had their strongest midfield, but we were missing that against Northampton. By his namesake, having Middlemass back in the middle again made a difference. I felt, obviously Virtue's game might have been ruined a little bit by that booking as well. But obviously Clark was in there, and then Munda was in there, so it was almost like, because Virtue did kind of get dragged in a few times, so it was almost like we were playing a bit of a midfield four, almost like a false square in some cases. But that, what was that one that Scott Lindsay played against Holloway, and he said he had never seen it before. It was
the 2-2s.
Yeah. So it was almost a bit like that. But I mean, it did help. And again, we spoke about all the midfielders played well. I think that was a big help. I thought Clark had a good game, although we only got 60 minutes out of his managed minutes. Obviously Munda was very close to POM for me. And then who am I missing?
In the midfield?
Middlemass, who again was quite solid, I thought. So yeah, and then I think that does help. But then when you've got someone like Virtue kind of in front of them a little, he's naturally a midfielder, so he's dropping in a little bit and helping them out. So we just it was almost like we actually worked on it this week, where we kind of thought, right, we need to own the midfield, and we're going to have to do that this year. I think Nick says it all the time, doesn't he? Like it's the leagues can be won by how good your midfield is. They talk about defenses winning seasons and strikers winning games, but if you can have a dominant midfield throughout the season, you're normally going to be in good stead come the end of it.
Ben, in the interest of balance, the only sort of negativity I could really find any consistency with amongst the Swindon feedback online, on social media, etc., and it's not necessarily a reflection on them. It's to do with the absenteeism of a lot of key players for us. It was that Pearman and Virtue were out of position for where they would technically want to play, and that maybe affected their game. In the same way we said last week that the way Middlemass and Nichols kept having to drift out to the left was affecting their game, both of those players having to play as the wide men seemed to affect their game.
Yeah, it was horribly disjointed, and going forward, we lacked natural width. I think Pearman had one moment where he did some tricks outside the box and then lost the ball a little bit, but that was pretty much his game. He's not a winger; he's an attacking mid. And I think that's a bit harsh when he's making his EFL debut, trying to learn a new trade. But we've got no one to play there other than Millard. Again, we've it's the same all round. So we're both players. It's a bit of a struggle, but hopefully that will be easing in the very near future. And I think that helped Cheltenham a little bit, and it disrupted our flow going forward. Drilling can play that wide role, but then you've got Palmer in the middle, and Palmer sort of is ghosting through games at the minute. I'm waiting for Smith to come back. I think going forward, Swindon are very, very, at this moment in time, very lightweight, and they're missing a lot, and they're missing natural width. I think Millard injects that bit of pace, which obviously his press led to the second goal. But they're not natural wide players, and hopefully they'll be back in midfield very soon.
You okay up there, Woody? You seem to be enjoying yourself. Is that because Ben's over the top praise of Millard this time round?
No, it's not over the top praise. Millard's press won the throw that led to the second goal. It did.
That's because of everything he learned at Melksham.
Ben was obviously only a couple of rows behind us now, so I think we made a purpose. Although he might not be able to hear us anyway, we made purposeful shouts about the lad from Melksham every time he did something good.
I heard that, and when he came on, I shouted, "There's my guy!" And so
there's my guy. You know what? It was apt. The very first thing I checked when I saw that we'd gone 2-0 up. It wasn't even the fact that Clark has scored. I wanted to know who assisted it, because I was ready to go with all the Melksham memes just in case. Okay, let's talk about some of the other key moments. Let's start with that first goal, Woody. And it has to be said, as is my way, it seems, and people don't always agree, I was particularly critical of Drinnan against Northampton for, he had no shots. We as a team had no shots on target. You certainly can't say that after his first goal of the season. It was a welcome back to the league, wasn't it?
Yeah, and because I think it was a very important goal as well, because if he didn't score in this game, naturally as a fan base, I think we start putting question marks over whether we're going to get the same Aaron Drinnan again. But I just think the sheer almost guile to put that from distance, because I think it was Virtue who was square from him. He could have played a square ball, and I probably would have expected Virtue to finish that. Although their keeper was quite lanky, so he might have got something onto it. But fantastic. Obviously the press won the ball in the first place, and just Cheltenham just gave him the freedom of the county ground. Although technically you could say he should have that anyway. But out of his feet and a beautiful finish. I kind of hope it isn't a goal of the season, because it is only the second game in August. So it just, I hope it doesn't mean it's going to be goal of the season, because that means we might be in for no further crackers like that. But great finish, and I'm really pleased that he's got off the score sheet, because that hangs over any striker. If they've had a really good season the season before, if they're going in and they're not getting a goal like that, sometimes they just want that really scrappy goal. But the fact that it was a lovely strike, a beautiful strike, to be fair, it was almost pitch perfect. Keeper didn't stand a chance. There's not many keepers getting to that. Like I say, the defense could have probably helped him out a little bit, but that's where, that's sometimes where you get I'm not going to, I use this lightly, but that's where you get those superstar moments in League Two, because you wouldn't expect a League Two striker to always hit that. You would expect him to square it to Virtue, and I'd probably say that's what the Cheltenham defence thought he was going to do. But no, he's obviously, he didn't have a bad pre-season either, did he, Drinnan? So it's, obviously he's carried that forward, and long may it continue. No, he won't score again now for 10 games.
Well, speaking of luck, Chelsea have put the ball in the net, but it's been ruled out for offside. So we go into 4 minutes of injury time, still 2-3. Ben, as a fan base, we have a no-win situation for the next week, don't we? Because if Drinnan doesn't score, as Woody's just said, the fans are on his back, and there's questions about whether we get the same Drinnan again. as it happened, Drinan did score, and it was a particularly good goal. So now it's like, oh, well, that means we're selling him in the next week.
Yeah, no, well, there is. I think you score a goal like that, and it's plastered all over the socials. I think the EFL went very big on the goal that he scored. There's going to be lots of scouts watching. There have been scouts at the game watching. There would have been. And I'm fully expecting some sort of bid to come in the next few days. It's whether it matches Swindon's valuation and whether Swindon feel like they've got a button to press to replace him with someone equally as good or near as good at the time. Now, I think to sell him, they need to hit Swindon's valuation, and Swindon do need someone good to go lined up. Because if both those things don't happen, I don't think he goes anywhere. Because one thing you will say for Clem, that he does actually back Holloway, and Clem is here. He always runs in and makes some sort of deal or something, trying to look like the big man. I don't know why he needs to be in the country to make signings, because all he does is write the deck. So I guess he's here. So when Swindon Town do make an announcement of some player, that he makes sure his name's pinned to it, because he doesn't need to be here, does he? Really?
I think his time is just right, because I'm sure, and somebody smarter than me will correct me, but because he is a director of a British company, I think he has to be in the country a certain amount of a certain period of time to be a director of a British company. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's just.
That was always the thing with Powell, isn't it? He was only allowed to be in the country a certain.
That was just so he could do his dodgy dealings.
Yeah, that was a tax thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think he's here. I think Swindon will. This is going off topic a little bit, but I think that there will be a name that Swindon pull out the bag that we've not even been thinking about. Maybe it's the left back, because no one's talked about that, but there will be some sort of name that no one's been speaking about might come out, and because Clem just turns up, doesn't he? And he'll take credit for it.
It was suggested on. I don't know whether there was any truth or anything that prompted it, but there was talk last night on Lower League Look about Owen Moxon coming in from Stockport. So we'll see if anything there materialises.
As I say, I've not heard anything on that. I'd love it if he'd sign up, because he's a cracking player, and he would be that headliner. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But and going back to Drinan, I think they need to evaluation, and I think someone needs to be lined up for him to go. We don't seem to sell people during the season of note since Holloway's been here. I don't think that'll change.
Owen Moxon's a midfielder, though, isn't he?
He is.
No,
he is.
Forward.
Oh, I thought he was.
Is he a forward? Is he a wide forward or a midfielder? Attacking midfielder?
I'd say.
I thought he was a midfielder.
I wouldn't say he's a replacement for a goal scorer, though. Personally,
no, unless
Swindon as well, wasn't he? I think he was on loan at Wigan as well.
He has been at Wigan.
The good news is. The good news, just away from this chat for a moment, Sean's just said evening all, which means, at least for the time being, our Facebook account is still up.
Yeah, fuck you, Meta.
Mark, Ben has just been very clear and concise there about valuations, etc. The good news is we have heard the word contingency plan.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not quite, and they seem quite confident about this whenever Holloway's been approached or asked the question. And I just find it a little bit unnerving that a club can be confident that they've got a contingency lined up for an event that may not happen. And if said player gets an offer in the meantime to do something, and then Drinan suddenly gets sold, we're recalling table, aren't we? Basically. But it's an interesting. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, anything north of £500,000, it's not going to be declined instantly. There's going to be some talk around that. I mean, we knocked back £250,000 and £400,000 reportedly from Salford in the January transfer window, and they weren't enough. But obviously, the contract is 6 months less now as well. So I'm thinking anything north of 500,000. And the club, I think, have stated actually that they're saying it would probably be high sort of, I guess 750 upwards is probably where they would, really start to talk about it, particularly if we get a lump sum of that cash up front in order to make replacements. But look, to be honest with you, do I think we'll sell Drennan? No. I think we'll be okay. If January comes round and we're doing poorly and he's the one that's been knocking in the goals, then that could be a
Charlie
different
Austin all those
scenario.
years ago.
Yeah, or if we don't go up this season, and he is the top goal scorer for us again. To be fair, he'll have probably earned that move, and I don't think any Swindon fan would begrudge him it if we fail to get ourselves out and he's done his bit. There's only so many times that failure is going to be accepted by a player, and they've got to do what's right for their career. And he'll be 29 next season,
29,
something
yeah,
like that.
29, 30
from recollection, yeah. So he's reaching peak performance for levels for a striker, and he'll probably want to test himself at a high level anyway. I hope we're up there and we take him with us, but obviously, as we know, there's no guarantees, and we'll see what happens. But look, I'm hopeful that we've still got more business to do. I mean, Moxon would be a great signing for us. I still think we're maybe a little bit light at left back as well. And the controversial opinion that regardless of what's been said about Harry McCurdy, is I still think he would be a great fit for this side and offer us something in those areas across the forward line that none of our other players are able to offer. Everyone's shaking their heads, but no,
you'll be asking for bloody Nicky Jose next.
What, over Ollie Palmer? That is a real conundrum, that one. Nicky Jose.
He's been retired for a couple of seasons and coaching at Man City's women's team. But yeah, we'll take Nicky Jose back anyway.
I'll take Nicky Summerby in his current
100%. I mean, nice. Elliot Benyon or Ollie Palmer.
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. Sean Close or Ollie Palmer.
Wow. Okay, well, let's carry on and let's talk about the second goal, Woody, with the very secretive and under-deployed tactic of a throw-in into the penalty area that Holloway didn't want anyone to know we had in the locker. He unleashed it at home to Cheltenham, and it worked a treat as Captain Fantastic marauded into the penalty area, unseen by anybody, and smashed the ball into the net with all the confidence and aplomb that he did not have the week before with virtually the same opportunity.
I couldn't put it better myself. What a fine description. The problem is, he said it was a hidden tactic, and now everybody fucking knows about it. I can guarantee.
What is this tactic of throwing the ball into the penalty area?
I can almost guarantee you, if he hadn't mentioned it, everybody would have just gone, "Oh, that was a good long throw." But now he's actually said, "Oh, this is a tactic of ours." But yeah, obviously, Millard's done really well to get the press as well. I think we can't hide away from that. They teach you that in the Southern League as well, how to press effectively in the corners. But yeah, it's I think, and it was, every Swindon fan was probably saying before that point, we need a second desperately, and it came at the right time. And the thing is Clark has this tendency, doesn't he? He gets these. He scored a few of those last years. He's kind of like sneaking in, scrappy, kind of just back post knock-ins, and it's like I say. I mean, we've all said it, apart from not knowing where to keep his hands. A consistently in form Ollie Clark is, consistently fit, in form. Ollie Clark is unplayable. He's one of the best midfielders in the league. But what doesn't get him anywhere near that is because he is consistently unfit, and puts his hands where he shouldn't. So I think hopefully we get out of this period of the managed minutes piece, but then at the end of the day, was it a terrible thing if we can get another hard-working midfielder in, maybe, then I wouldn't necessarily say I'm against having a a strong Ollie Clark for 60 to 70 minutes a game, and then bring on somebody who's equally got.
That's
got
when
the work
DeBayo
rate.
comes on for 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, but DeBayo. I mean, DeBayo didn't do anything really wrong on Saturday, to be fair to him, but he wasn't really on for very long. So,
but to be fair, Woody,
minutes.
just to touch on that point, that was the only real negative about the game on Saturday, was once that experience of Clark and Tafazoli left the pitch, that's when the tide turned and the pressure came on. 100%. So you're quite right. If we can get somebody else in that can help maybe replace what they offer as leaders on the pitch, unless the plan really is to put the team under pressure for the final 10, 15 minutes and, we see games out that way. That's not a ridiculous tactic. Not something I would necessarily play, but it is a choice that some teams play. But yes, yeah. So you're quite right, Woody. Having Ollie Clark fit and capable and able to play at his best, he is a decent footballer. And I agree on Saturday, it was one of his above average performances. And I'm usually very critical of Ollie Clark because he is the captain. So fingers crossed he can maintain that level of performance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ben, I'm going to ask this question very much in the mindset that I do subscribe to the notion I'd rather be lucky than good. But is it fair to say that there was an element of good fortune about both of Swindon's goals?
Yeah, that should have been defended better, to be honest. Drennan should have been closed down. At least one of the players should have gone out to him, whilst the other kept an eye on Virtue. If you leave the League Two player of the system time and space to line up the shot and pick his spot, he's probably the worst player you should do that to in the division. And the second goal, no one picked up Ollie Clark. But the header's really unchallenged. Again, with the size of their defenders, that shouldn't happen. The only chance is Ollie Clark just wandered into the penalty spot, the 6-yard box. Thanks very much, 2-0. So they were horrific defending, really. So yeah, a better team doesn't concede those goals. Let's be clear. But it's League Two, and League Two those goals happen. And we scored 2 goals and they only scored 1, so that's all that matters. There's going to be times where we berate our defenders for letting in League Two type goals, and I think Cheltenham should have a long hard look at themselves. They played very well going forward, but defensively I quite staggered how bad they were. They got work to do, but that's not our problem, is it?
Well, let's take a look. And while I'm not going to berate players, Mark, what I find interesting is last year and possibly the year before, I spoke about how Swindon seemed to find a way of conceding the same goal. It's never exactly the same, but they find a way of having the same problem. Now, obviously we didn't concede against Northampton, but against Cardiff, I bemoaned Negru for the fact of letting the ball bounce. And not going for the first contact, which we know is Tafazoli's speciality. I think it's fair to say it's probably the only thing you can criticise him for in this game. But equally, Kirkman didn't engage and go for the header. He's let the ball bounce, and I will say, fantastic finish, really good finish from the Cheltenham player, but completely avoidable if we just head the ball.
Yeah, quite possibly. I've watched that clip a few times back, and I'm sort of thinking it's 5 minutes from full time, and he's had an absolute blinder for the 85 minutes leading up to that point. Did he switch off a little bit mentally? Quite possibly. It's going to happen, and because because Broom was so quick at his reaction, even and the point that I was making to Boo online was that the quickness of his thought was the fact that is what caught Ripley off guard. I didn't say Ripley was at fault. It's just the fact that he took the shot so quickly, the goalkeeper didn't have time to position himself, maybe effectively one extra step, and Ripley would have kept that ball out. But no, I'm not going to be overly critical of Kirkman. Defenders often get lambasted for a mistake that leads to a goal, but it's the steps that lead up to that mistake occurring. It's usually 3 mistakes that lead to a goal, and that tends to happen further up the pitch from somebody not doing their job. Yes, it was a mistake. Kirkman will probably have his hand up and say, yeah, I should have done this, that, and the other. But in the grand scheme of things, did it really matter? No. And did it diminish anything from his performance? No, not at all. So yeah, I mean, you're going to pick up on the fact that Swindon concede the same type of goals. Well, I think we'll get better. We certainly look more solid defensively in the centre back region. And I think with a run of games, Kirkman will only get better if he maintains the level of performance. I think that probably half answers your question. I also
think Woody, anything you want to add to that, Woody?
I also think Kirkman picked up an injury just beforehand as well. He got quite a knock and he was down for a couple of minutes. So I don't know if that, because we had no subs left, I think, at that point, if I remember rightly. So I don't know. Not that it's necessarily an excuse for not going for a header, but obviously that's going to hinder your performance a little bit, because I'm sure it was his. Because I joked and said it was his hamstring, and then they came out and stretched, and I think it was his calf. But it did look like he picked up an injury, and then that goal happened a couple of minutes later. So I have to admit, I don't really badly remember him wise. I don't actually remember his mistake, to be totally honest, because every time I've gone to watch a goal back, all I've gone is, wow, how's he done that? That's all I think about. And
that's fair, and I'm only raising it in the way I do in the interest of balance of the conversation, because again, I don't feel, and this is coming from me, who's generally widely critical of any cock up by our defensive shape. I'm with Mark. I don't think Kirkman deserves necessarily criticism. I don't think Ripley necessarily deserves criticism, because unlike, say, last season where I was bemoaning the goals we were conceding, I'm very happy to say that's a really, really good strike. So fair play to the lad. But I'll tell you what, just looking at the interest of balance, that it's avoidable.
Yeah, and if Ripley's got anything to look at as well on it, anything, which I don't think he really has from the blame point of view, he definitely made up for it about 5 minutes later with that kind of one-on-one save where it was like a one-on-one save, and then it came off the defender, and he's like shouting over, didn't he? He's like, don't touch it, it's going for a goal. I thought that was a corner. I was about to rip into Ripley for going like, why are you telling him to leave it? But yeah, so Shithouse Ripley was back towards the end. I loved
that. Ben, the win on Saturday, and it's something that we've spoken about. The win on Saturday makes the point at Northampton look a lot better, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I said that after the Northampton game. If we beat Cheltenham, then it's 4 from 2. It's an away point and a home win, but we had to win. The mood between us four would have been a lot different if Cheltenham grabbed a last-minute equaliser. The conversations we'd be having would be a lot different. If you win your home games and you get points away from home, no matter how who the opposition are, then you're going to have a good season. So it was. It's the win makes last Saturday's result better, because we have a foundation now that which we can build on. We really do need players back very, very soon, though, because Oldham is going to be a very stiff test.
Oh, yeah,
and then pull after that, even more.
I'm looking forward to discussing Oldham on Friday, and yes, I have reached out to everyone's favourite former retired scout to come and join us on Friday. Hopefully, Alf will be there. I'm just waiting on a reply from him.
Bless him.
Okay, indeed. Anything else from Saturday that I haven't already covered that anyone wants to raise before we move on?
Just on the game itself.
Unless there's anything else.
The game itself. Well, the roll call was a bit shit.
Are we going to discuss that absolute fucking embarrassing shambles that was a roll call?
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my next question, but as you've both called it fucking disgrace and absolute fucking shambles, let's go for it.
I'll tell you what, if I was a member of, a family member of somebody who had passed away, you know, and they had the second opportunity to correct this, and they did the same fucking mistakes, then, you know, I'd be tearing up my ticket and saying, do you know what, I'm not going to bother with putting any more money into this club, because you literally just don't care. I don't understand why, and I get there's probably a bit of pressure from Sky Sports on certain things as well, but and I have to admit I don't agree with the notion of bringing of the players coming out at 5-2, but when the players come out, do it just before kickoff. It's what, 2.5 minutes? 2.5 minutes that you're going to delay kickoff by, to respect people that have passed away. Just do it, because then you've got control of everything. Then, as a referee, as the people that are organising it, you've got control of everything. You know, poor Cheltenham fans probably looked, even though they weren't doing it inadvertently, they looked disrespectful because they were still chanting, because they had no idea what was going on. You know, both teams were still warming up. You know, there were players, it was going whilst I was still walking up to my seat. So it's kind of like, and I get it. They said, oh, please be there for quarter three. Now, there's two elements to that. One, again, I don't know. I was in there early, but I heard the turnstiles queues were a bit of a nightmare. Although they were better than they have been, they were a bit of still bad, apparently. But also, not everybody reads social media that's going to know about it.
True.
Especially the Cheltenham fans aren't going to, you know, they wouldn't have read social media to say that there's going to be a roll call at quarter three, etc. Just do it like, I don't know what other clubs do. I have to admit, I've never really paid attention to what other clubs do. But just do it when the players have come out. They've done the sponsor photos. Get, like we do, pay respect to anybody who's passed away or anything like that. Just do it just before kickoff, and then you've got silence across the board. You've got, or obviously applause, you know, and rightful applause. You know, I just think it's embarrassing, and I know we talk about all the time that this is kind of a higher up decisions and all of this kind of stuff, if it is. But I'm sorry, but it just, the fact that it's the same thing that happened at the end of last season. You know, I'm not necessarily going to say this is all of the fault of the people lower or higher, but as a whole, it's embarrassing. As a whole, it was really embarrassing, and I would have been, probably, I don't get offended easily, but I would have been borderline offended if that was one of my family members who had probably followed Swindon for so many years, and they don't even get it. And I think they did put it up on the sponsor board, didn't they? On the not on the scoreboard like they used to. They put it up on the sponsor board, and from what I hear, there was a fucking Compare the Meerkat advert in the bloody middle of it. And it's just like, come on, like, you've got somebody must be sat there going like, yeah, this isn't right. This is what's going to happen. We need the crowd to be silent. What's the best time to get the crowd all focused on one occasion? Not at quarter to three, because I'm not being funny. If you've got kids and stuff, Ben would vouch. In fact, all of us would vouch, because we're all there with our kids. You're not taking your seat before quarter to three, because your kids get bored, your kids get fidgety, and all of this kind of stuff. I'm not going up at quarter to three because you guys can't be asked to fucking do it properly. And like the PA system, I think unless you were at the right at the back, you couldn't hear anything. And by at the back, you had to be next to like one of the back out speakers. And I think Mike Dixon said many times, he's talked about the PA. He said to the club when he was with them about how you can improve it. We didn't bother with any of that. So why do it at a time when it's going to be really fucking noisy? And it was just a shambles. And as a club, even no matter what level you are, I would be embarrassed to have been present on that day as a member of staff during that call. Sorry, job done.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I kind of second that as well. Apart from, I'll go a little bit further and say, as a mark of respect, people have died. Everyone stops. Everyone stops. The warm-up stops, centre circle job, and properly announced. Everyone stands up. Please be standing for the Swindon fans who have lost their lives over the last 12 months. Please, for the next 3 minutes, can we just spare a minute and then just read the names out? And people are genuinely, the Cheltenham fans would have shut up. Everyone just stopped for a minute. Everyone could walk, even if we do it get the players out at 7 minutes to rather than 5 to, so they can have a quick warm up before it actually starts again. Just work out, talk to the managers, just say, right, it's just going to happen. So, what's the best way for you to do this? But everything needs to stop. Everything. And the music's quiet. Everyone shuts the fuck up. Everyone stands up, and that's how you do it properly. And that should be advertised in the program on the front page. That should be advertised. That should be announced constantly throughout the night. And the stewards need to be saying that as you go, as they're taking the ticketing as you're going in, just to let you know this is happening. so everyone is well aware what happens, and that's proper marked respect for people that have lost their lives. There's fans that have pammeled in hundreds of thousands of pounds for a period of 60, 70, 80 years into the club. They love it. They love their club. And for their families, they just want that little moment where the club recognises them and as a thanks. They fucked it again. Not good.
Mark, you obviously weren't there, but you've heard a very impassioned display from both the guys there. Anything you want to add?
Well, it doesn't cost much to get something like this right. I think that's the salient point at the end of the day, and to have fucked it up twice, it's just ridiculous. I mean, firstly, is it the club showing a complete disdain for the fan base? I mean, they must have known all of the issues of that Woody's already mentioned, like getting people in their seats at the right time in order for it to be done properly. The thing is, a roll of honour should always be. There should always be some ceremony with it. Now, whether that's, we make the same gesture for armistice. We'll have somebody come and play the last post and everyone remains silent for that, and we pay our respects. My argument is it's no different. We're paying respects to our own fan base, or those connected to the club, or families, members of those that are connected to the club that have passed, that have been maybe Swindon fans, or they've shared memories and experiences. It needs to be in that same bracket. And because it doesn't feel like that, it just feels that, as fans, we're being treated with disdain. And, there have been many years that have gone by, that I've seen where these things are done properly. And it's always, oh, that was nice, or that was a good way, it felt right. I just really don't understand how we can be so disconnected with something which is so important to every football club. Just us. Every single football club does this. And, I don't know of any others that make an absolute shambles of it. It just feels so wrong. So I understand why the emotions are high. And it is something that we should keep championing about, because it's something that's so intrinsic with the community of being a football supporter. It's as simple as that. They got to sort it out.
And it's important that the emotive frustration is pointed in the right direction, I feel, because there'll be a lot of people who want to criticise the people who were doing it, who I imagine in this case was probably Vic as one of his pre-match things that he had to do. He's not in charge of what the PA system sounds like in the ground. This is a club matter that went, let's be honest, that went diabolically wrong at the last game of last season, and they haven't rectified it for the first game of this season. And like you said, Mark, it's every club seems to be able to do this properly, apart from us. And I just don't understand.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe there are other clubs who grossly misjudge how important this is as well, but we never seem to hear about it. But our club has now done it wrong twice in the space of 5 months, which is a real problem.
Yes, it's inexcusable. Inexcusable.
Well, I was just going to say, you got it spot on there. It's the twice in 5 months, because we know it will be brought up in the advisory board minutes, or whatever the fucking forum is nowadays. It'll be brought up in the advisory board minutes, and they'll say, we're learning from our mistakes. You didn't even learn from a mistake you made 5 months ago. Fucking just do better. Just do better. I'm so angry. Things on the pitch can come and go. Managers can come and go. Good players, bad players can come and go. But there's just so much. And I think, to be fair, I've just seen Sean's comment come up there. I know I'll get shot down by many for this, but there were, for all his flaws, there were some things that Power did very well. This was one of things like this was one of them. And don't get me wrong, there's some great stuff we've done, but a lot of the great stuff we've done haven't actually been done by the club as well. So stop fucking taking credit for stuff that you haven't done, and start getting right what you should be doing right. That's the message at the end of the day. You can see they try to take credit for the JR room. You can see they take credit for the room that Danny and all that were trying so hard. They try to take credit for the
room,
the sensory room. Thank you. They try to take credit for the stuff that Lee Callahan does with the disabled supporters. These are all people that aren't officially employed by the club, or they're doing it as part of, like a double hat, and they'll quickly jump on that. But but it's okay. We'll put a training day on Thursday, a family day on Thursday, which, to be honest, looking at what's on it, as much as I will go, I don't think part of that's really them either. It's just kind of, I just think, like, why, just get the things you need to get right first before you start taking credit elsewhere. I don't know who's to blame. I'm not expecting an apology to come out, especially if it's somebody dare I say, lower down the food chain. Because it just, well, mind you, knowing the club like we have treated some members in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody fucking loses their job over it lower down the chain, because unfortunately that's the kind of diplomat that we've got in charge at the moment. It's just kind of, it's just embarrassing. And I, as a Swindon Town fan, my condolences go to those people who genuinely were probably looking forward to hearing their family member's name called out. I'll tell you what, don't bother with me when I pass away. I'll just fucking haunt the place.
Go to training grounds.
Huge breaking news reaching us as we conclude this segment of the show. Alf has said yes for Friday. it's all good for Friday, guys. Looking forward to that. Okay, let's turn our attentions then to the women's side of the game. What happened this weekend, as much as Woody probably doesn't really want to. Not necessarily a great weekend. So we know Caution didn't play. They had media day. A couple of pictures have been shared already. Looking forward to seeing the full outcome of what media day represented. Rich, however, has told us that it was a good afternoon, and then they all went out for a team bonding meal and drinks. Well, exactly. Who's Rich? What's a Rich?
What's a Rich? I think we had someone. Didn't we used to have someone on here called Rich? We talking about the same bloke. I've not seen him around for ages.
I thought his name was Titch. Is it Titch? You said Rich.
Titch. Yeah, didn't he? Woody, didn't you work with him once? Like, was he a coach or something?
Yeah, he was that guy that went out to America. He went out to America.
Yeah, he went to America. I'm a big fan of Glatzel. Likes his running.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, huge Glatzel fan. Yeah, I think he must have played for Melton. Yeah. Well, anyway, sorry. Carry on, Fife. I interrupt you.
Bassett continued their pre-season and had a much better result this time out, winning 5-1 against Woodley, who, again, even though I knew it was Woodley, I still had to check that it wasn't called Woody. It's just so ingrained in my head that I have to double check.
Yeah, it's definitely. With my history of Woodley United, I can assure you it's not Woody United. I could tell you that now.
Have you got history?
We're not friends, Woodley and I.
No.
No.
Involved in that, or included within that, good friend of the show, Hannah, did get on the score sheet as well. Swindon Town women, as I mentioned in the intro, they went down 4-0 at Portsmouth. Unfortunately, not backing up the opening day win over Plymouth. Woody, would you have expected a scoreline like that? I mean, obviously, this is for those like myself who, we as Fools Rush In, we follow Swindon since the beginning, but of our show. But obviously, this is a new level again now, so we're learning about new teams and names that. So people will automatically hear Portsmouth and they will liken it to say that the two men's teams would you consider there being a gap between Portsmouth and Swindon? Obviously, they're playing in the same division.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this to somebody earlier that I was saying that, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way on women's football, but I almost say as well that when you want to put let's say a thrashing in terms of relevance in comparison to the men's game, you almost want to half the result. So when you think of like Portsmouth beating Swindon 4-0. You know, if we put that in comparison to a men's result, that's probably a 2-0 win. So you know, it's not really a big. When you think of, you know, how Swindon got on last year when they played, was it Cheltenham? They lost 10, whatever it was, to in the cup, and things like that. So, but Portsmouth are a good side. They're a good team. They're a good side at that level. You know, I think if I remember rightly, they have won that level before as well. So they've either won that level or Tier 4. Unfortunately, Mike's possibly not watching at the moment. He would be able to correct me on that one. But yeah, so I think this is going to be. I think the last two games probably present what I would almost expect from Swindon a little bit this season. There's going to be games where I think they'll win well. There'll be games where we go, oh, that, you know, the stronger three teams in that league maybe will beat Swindon, and Swindon will probably.
Yeah.
I still think I actually quite like Richard Wood's way of thinking. Is like, you know, he was asked what his expectations are. He said he wants to aim for top 6. He said because if you aim to avoid relegation, you're in a relegation battle.
Of course,
so
yeah.
I quite like that mentality that he's still pushing up. And like I say, if you win your first game, lose your second. Not that this will happen, but if you keep doing that all season, you're going to finish mid-table, which I think for a first season back in Tier 3 is a good one. But there's going to be tough games for the women's this season. I mean, I'm not as up to date with the National League because I'm far away from it. I'm four tiers away from it. Four tiers away from it. But but yeah, it's I don't think it'll be like that all season, and I wouldn't be surprised because it was at Fratton Park as well, wasn't it? So you know, we're now playing teams that, and I mean this in the greatest respect, where the senior sides respect their women's team and let them play on the pitches and all of that kind of stuff. So actually playing on the county ground pitch, as much as it will be nice, isn't such a shock for some teams now.
Yeah.
You know, they've been doing it already. They've been playing on, you know, the professionally kept pitches. So yeah, I think it's not a terrible result. I think I was more shocked at the fact that they didn't score. So they didn't score at all. And I was also shocked at whoever it is, Bassett is on the bench. I had no idea who that is. But yeah, it's yeah. So it's not. I don't think it's a terrible result. I haven't watched any interview. I hadn't seen any highlights. But yeah, definitely not scoring was probably the shocker for me this weekend.
No, I'm slightly saddened that, considering the success that they've had, that coverage overall of the women's team and the youth team, to be fair, does seem to have dwindled considerably over the last, particularly for the start of this year, but particularly over the last, say, 6, 9, 12 months.
And I'm not even sure if they're even tweeting much about it on their actual Twitter handle either, are they? I don't think.
No.
And that's a shame, because you just think that there must be somebody, even if they don't want to pay, it's at that level, there's always somebody who wants to put Swindon Town on their CV. Like, it's a bit different than me trying to get somebody to do our social media. You know what I mean? It's, you know, this is Swindon Town. So I'm a bit surprised that there's not, you know, there isn't a little bit more on there. Although Taylor McDonald does quite well to keep her stuff updated with all of her TikTok and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is a shame. You're right. They're breaking into the things that are Tier 3, but maybe the approach this year is just let's just be quiet and get on with it approach, which isn't, in my eyes, the right thing to do in women's football, because women's football is a lot more socially set, where you do rely on your social media output and what you can get out of that. So
you can be rest assured that as best as we can, when obviously the people within our ranks that would go obviously have coaching roles at other clubs, so it makes it difficult. But whenever we've got representation there, we will cover it as best as we can to let people know what's happening.
Yeah, maybe we could like do a radio stream or something along those lines to one game.
I'd love that. I'd love the opportunity to do something like that just once, just so we could put an FRI stamp on it and see what people thought. I think it would be good. I think it'd be a good laugh.
And it's just a thought. They got 6,500 followers. So on their X. So to not have a regular update throughout the game or anything like that, I don't know. I find it pretty poor.
Well, the thing is, I know that because Mike's very good at establishing this stuff. I know that Portsmouth were covering it.
Yeah.
And just to put it in perspective, I know it's a different thing, but to put it in perspective, there were FA Cup, I'm guessing, like qualifying rounds this weekend. Would that be right?
Yeah.
And I know that there was opportunity for people to listen to, I'm guessing not radio coverage, but some sort of audio coverage of Melksham's game against Caversham, because they were advertising it. They were like, you can listen to this game.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't, I don't know. Portsmouth's not that far away either. They could have, even if I don't know if it's a kind of, we don't want to rely on volunteers, but even if they said, look, each day, can we have put a post out to say, we'd love somebody to come in and run our social media account for the day. There'd be no issues with that. Like, it's not like it's the men's team who should have somebody paid the money to do it. We all respect the fact that the club would have invested into the women's setup to get them where they are.
With the utmost respect, with the exception of match days, because I can't do it, I would do all the other day-to-day stuff for them. It's not hard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I'm not being funny. Try being a one-man band. I do the social media. I do all of it. So it's like, but yeah, they've.
Well, speaking of you doing all jobs, should we briefly mention your game yesterday?
No, we don't have to.
We do, because we cover 4 teams. They all get time.
So we continued our pre-season against the toughest test that we will face pre-season. Portchester, to be fair, we talk about clubs that are investing a lot. Portchester have got 3 very good sides in terms of their first reserves and the development side. I think they've even invested in their men's team down there a little bit. I'm sure Mr. Pittman was fit in the ranks down there at one point as well. But they were, we lost heavily. I think we had an extremely bad first 20 minutes. We were 5-0 down after 20 minutes, which was very painful. It's probably the first bollocking I've given my players this pre-season. Bearing in mind how young they are, you got to be careful when you're giving a bollocking when most of them are only 16 years old.
Of course, yeah.
You're
in the same boat as Holloway. He's all about how he can't be just telling people off. He's got to talk to them in the right way.
Yeah,
but he's got a 17-year-old from Melksham.
I've got a couple of players from Melksham.
There you go.
But yeah, so no, it was but then to be fair, after they got their little bit of a bollocking, and I even got the phrase out: if you can't be bothered, if you can't bother to wear the badge, then just don't be here.
Wow.
It's like, I was not happy. With the way we were the first 20 minutes. But then obviously, in the grand scheme of things, over the remaining 75, it was kind of 70. It was 5-1 loss to a team 2 tiers above us who are very good. I was very, very impressed. They've rocked up. They're only 2 leagues above us. They've rocked up with an analyst, I think, a cameraman, and 3 coaches, and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm just there going like, yeah, okay, here's me with my 16-year-old team. So it's, but yeah, no. But you learn things from those games. You do
not
learn
long.
things from those.
Not long now until the season starts. Obviously, like Swindon have started, we know that. But for the likes of yourselves, for Bassett, of course, not long now. Are you starting to, like, from your perspective? This is obviously your side's first season. You've assembled it from scratch. Mm-hmm. So I imagine although we know what your personal mentality is towards these things, I think what I'm trying to say is, I imagine like Chippenham have a goal, mm-hmm. and you have a goal, which there may be a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But are you starting to see, even in defeats like this, are you starting to see certain things that make you believe that the goals are achievable? I suppose is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, I think, even despite the loss yesterday, a lot of it was ruthlessness, and it has been. I think the big difference that I'm starting to see from my learning perspective is the difference between tier 8 and kind of tier 6 and tier 5 is how relentless the forward players can be. They're very clinical in front of goal, especially Portchester were very clinical, as you could tell by the scoreline. But there were a lot of periods of be positive about when we were creating chances. It's not like we didn't create any chances, and I think given that I'm on week 7 now with them, week 7 with 4 or 5 of them played for me last season, but I think there's promising signs. I said to the girls yesterday, we won't be losing 10-1 every week. I have my targets. My targets are ambitious, and I think they're achievable based on what I know of the level we've gone in at. And that's no disrespect. Do I think we're going to win that league? No. Do I think we're going to be competitive? Definitely. Do I think we're going to have enough to finish in those top 3 positions? I think so. But from my point of view, it's about whether we keep hold of our stronger players. Is my point of view at the moment. But and that's I'm not going to hold anybody back if they want to push themselves up a higher level. But hopefully they see the bigger picture. A lot of the squad, which I think they're getting so far, without blowing my own trumpet, I get good feedback on the level of intensity at training and kind of the professionalism we put into the background as a club as well. So long may that continue, because at the end of the day, who knows if we can get a back-to-back promotion by application as well. By then these players could be earning a little bit of money. You never know. So they could be earning money to play it, over a couple of, only a couple of years away. So yeah, let's hope they see the bigger picture. Then they all bugger off to uni, and I'll be back to start the drawing board again. So it's
absolutely. Well, look, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening. As always, your company is very much appreciated, and your opinions are much valued. Thank you to everyone who's been watching along in the chat. It looks like we're timing it right, because I've just had a warning to say that there's an issue now streaming to Facebook. Shock. So let's see what comes off the back of that. We will be back on Friday to preview the game with Oldham with Alf. As I said, he has agreed to come on. There is a limb stream scheduled for Thursday for those who have been enjoying that series. And Mark and I have been discussing, even though it's a home game, Port Vale just happens to fall midweek and on deadline day. So we may as well do a live stream for that next week as well. So something to look forward to there. Woody, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Ben, thank you very much for your time. Mark, as always, very much appreciated. And that just leaves me to say, have a great week, everybody. Good night.
Big thanks to Save on Tires. Arches recruitment keeps the fire. Women's football stand up proud. Best at the course from the Trambum loud. Friends in the stands, hands up high. Chasing that blue sky from the first whistle to the final call. We're standing tall, we give it all. Promotion dreams, relegation reign. We sing it out through joy and pain. Every tackle, every win, we're right back in it once again. Up the sweat, up the sweat. When the season turns and the ground feels cold, we keep that faith, we keep that hope. 15 mates and 1,000 songs.